It was the click of the trigger that sent a chill down my spine. Just 5 seconds. That was all it took to turn an ordinary neighborhood dispute into a scene straight out of a horror movie. 1 minute, my wife was standing in the driveway, calmly explaining why she'd parked the way she had. The next moment, our neighborhood's infamous troublemaker, a woman everyone had grown to dread, was pointing a loaded pistol at her chest. I wasn't even supposed to be home. My assignment with an elite special forces unit had ended early, and I had a chance to surprise her. But nothing could have prepared me for what unfolded that day. We lived in one of those picture-perfect neighborhoods where everything looked peaceful on the surface. Manicured lawns, kids riding bikes, the whole suburban ideal. But beneath the neatly trimmed hedges and white picket fences, drama simmered. At the center of it all was Ruth, our local self-appointed neighborhood enforcer. She wasn't officially part of the homeowners association, but she didn't need to be. Ruth made herself the unofficial boss, policing everyone's lawn care, holiday decorations, and parking habits. She was the kind of person who would measure grass length with a ruler or demand fines for someone's Christmas lights being too bright. People ignored her for the most part until she crossed a line. And on this day, she crossed it in the most dangerous way imaginable. Let me backtrack a little. My name's Ben. I've spent years serving as part of an elite military unit, specializing in covert operations. Chaos is my environment, but even I wasn't ready for what I was about to walk into. My wife, Mia, is my grounding force, steady, intelligent, and calm, even when dealing with the daily nonsense that comes from living next door to someone like Ruth. I'd been deployed for months, communicating through sporadic calls and encrypted messages. But I missed her. I missed home. When I finally got clearance to return early, I didn't tell Mia. I wanted it to be a surprise. Little did I know, I'd arrived just as Ruth was throwing a tantrum over something trivial. Mia had parked our second car, a worn but dependable sedan, on the curb in front of our house. It wasn't blocking anything, not even a hydrant. Just a simple parking spot under a tree. But for Ruth, that was enough to set her off. I parked around the corner and planned to sneak up on her for the surprise. But what I saw instead stopped me dead in my tracks. Ruth was screaming at Mia, her face red with fury, marching toward her with a level of aggression I hadn't seen before. "You can't park here," Ruth yelled. "This is against the rules. I'm reporting you, and you'll get fined." Mia, as always, kept her composure. "I've read the rules, Ruth. There's nothing wrong with parking here. You're not even on the HOA board anymore." Ruth's eyes narrowed. "You think you know better than me?" she spat, seething with anger. Then, in an instant, she reached into her purse and pulled out a gun, a full-sized pistol, not some small weapon. I froze as she cocked it. Mia stepped back, her hands raised in a calm but steady gesture. "Ruth, please, just put it down." I wasn't sure if it was my training kicking in or the adrenaline of the moment, but within 5 seconds, I was on my feet, running toward them. In those 5 seconds, I made a choice. Do I call for help, draw my own weapon, or handle this with my hands? I chose the latter. "Drop the weapon," I commanded, my voice cutting through the chaos like a bolt of lightning. Ruth spun around, startled, the gun still aimed at Mia. When she saw me, standing there, 6 feet tall, in combat boots and military fatigues, her hesitation was all I needed. I closed the distance, grabbed her wrist, twisted it, and forced her to drop the gun. It clattered to the ground with a sharp metallic sound. "Assault!" she screamed as I forced her down to the pavement, my knee pressing in her back. Mia was still shaken, standing to the side, but her eyes locked on me. Neighbors were coming out of their homes, some filming, some dialing 911. The police arrived soon after, guns drawn and sirens blaring. But when they saw me, my ID, the gun on the ground, and the witnesses, things settled quickly. Ruth was cuffed and yelling about conspiracies and unfair treatment, blaming everything on the parking spot. "She provoked me," she screeched as they dragged her to the squad car. The lead officer, a seasoned deputy, gave me a knowing look. "You ex-military?" I nodded. "Yeah." He sighed. "Hell of a day for a surprise visit, huh?" I nodded again, glancing at Mia, who was finally starting to calm down. Later that evening, we sat on the porch, wrapped in a blanket, her head resting on my shoulder. I thought I was going to die. she whispered. I know, I said quietly. But you're safe now. I've got you. Ruth was charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. The HOA banned her from future meetings, and the neighborhood rallied around Mia. People dropped off baked goods, sent flowers, and even those who had previously ignored Ruth's antics began speaking out. Turns out, this wasn't Ruth's first time threatening someone, just the first time she'd used a weapon. The legal aftermath dragged on for months, court dates, statements, lawyers, but Mia held strong through it all. And as for Ruth, she took a plea deal, probation, mandatory therapy, and she put her house up for sale 2 months later. No one bought it. Perhaps they were scared off by her reputation, or maybe the rumors about the guy next door, being an ex-soldier, had something to do with it. We still live there, still walk past the spot on the curb where everything almost went horribly wrong. But now there's peace, a calm that wasn't there before. Every time I think about how close I came to losing the woman I love, I remember those 5 seconds that reminded me why I do what I do. 5 seconds that proved you don't have to be in a war zone to face danger. And 5 seconds that made sure Ruth would never harm anyone again. As the months went by, life in the neighborhood slowly returned to normal, but the scars of that day lingered. The calm that followed the chaos was hard-earned, and we were all reminded of how fragile peace can be. People moved on with their lives, but they no longer looked at Ruth with the same sense of superiority or disdain they had before. Her reputation was tarnished, and her actions had forced us all to confront the darkness that could exist even in seemingly perfect surroundings. Mia and I, on the other hand, became closer in ways I hadn't anticipated. The trauma of that day had shaken her, but it also reinforced the bond between us. We learned to appreciate each other more deeply, understanding just how precious our time together truly was. The world may be unpredictable, but having each other was the one constant we could rely on. And me? I've seen enough chaos in my life to last several lifetimes. But that moment, those 5 seconds, reminded me of something I had long forgotten, that we, too, are vulnerable. We live in a world where things can change in an instant, where even the most mundane moments can spiral into danger. It also reminded me of why I chose the life I did, to protect those I love. I don't take that responsibility lightly. As for Ruth, her story is a cautionary tale. A person can only push others so far before the consequences catch up with them. Her attempt to control and intimidate backfired, leaving her isolated and disgraced. The neighborhood moved on, and we found peace again, but Ruth's actions left a lasting mark, not just on her but on all of us. In the end, it's not the chaos we remember, it's how we survive it and who we become after. The truth is, the hardest moments often reveal the strength we didn't know we had. And for me, that's a lesson worth carrying forward.